Hi, and welcome to the Engineered Mind podcast, a podcast about engineering, AI, neuroscience, and other interesting topics of life to educate and inspire people all around the world. I'm your host, Jousef, and for this podcast, Lubos Pirkl will talk about his company called CFD Support, where he also is the managing director. His specialization is strategy, product management, and business development. He studied at the Czech Technical University in Prague, Faculty of Mechanical Engineering, and got his master's degree in mathematical modeling and engineering in 2007. Later, he successfully finished his PhD studies in 2011, where he majored in mathematical modeling in hemodynamics. He worked as a lecturer of programming at the Department of Technical Mathematics of CTU. In 2009, still during his PhD studies, Lubos co-founded CFD Support. He has a wife and 4 children who are now, besides business, his main source of entertainment. And now, ladies and gentlemen, have fun and happy learning with Lubos Pirkl. It's a pleasure to have you on my podcast. So what we will start with is, can you give us a little bit of background? How did you come up with the idea of creating or founding CFD Support?
Okay, hello, Jousef. It's my pleasure being here, and thank you for having me in your show. What do I do? It's many things, right? The CFD Support to me now is many things. I'm not sure if I am the right person who can explain this because I'm inside the tornado. But anyway, CFD Support is many things. It's a rodeo. It's a adventure. It's definitely an experience, and it's passion, and it's a lot of hard work, and it's a lot of hard work of fantastic people here, and maybe most of all, it's a journey of young people into the senior CFD or CAE business. I guess we have time, so I'll start from the beginning. So we studied Czech Technical University here in Prague, in Czech Republic. I met on my PhD studies, I met my colleague Jiří Šimonek, and in the last year of our PhD studies, we have founded CFD Support as a company. And our original intention was to bring high-tech consultancy services connected with open source into the industry, which was, very difficult in the beginning because we were still students in the last year of our PhD studies, later with fresh diplomas, and we started with pretty nothing, right? We had no experience, we had no clients, we had no money, we had nothing, we had no connections. Especially the experience was missing. So the beginnings were very difficult, I would say, and we had to reinvent everything from scratch. So this was pretty tough, I have to say. So we made some. We started with OpenFOAM. We thought we will deliver a very let's say high-tech support for the engineers. So that's why the CFD Support name has support in it, because we wanted to deliver fantastic support. And beginnings were difficult because we had no clients, and so we created some let's say case studies, and we started to cold calling companies here in Czech Republic, which was very difficult. And a few times we were very, very close to give up, but we didn't, of course. And we had first real business in 18 months, 1 year and a half. We've got the first business, and it was actually a very successful project. And then we've got another project and another project, and it was always a little bit easier to get new projects. And we were, like this, getting new projects. And then the first employees came, and everything was from scratch and was really, really hard worked, I would say. So there was no funding. So still till this time, there is no funding, no other money than the real work and the real interest from the market. And that's what we are valuing on our business the most. A few years into this consultancy business, we realized it's not enough. Maybe it's good for survival, but not for scaling the business. So we decided to put some more spice into it. We decided to make it a little bit more product oriented than just a consultancy services oriented. And we have launched a software which is based on open source or on OpenFOAM, but it has a huge value. And well, the value is, I believe that the game we play here is all about the value and the value for the customer. So we did, and so we believe now it's open source is great, but the value is not exactly in it. The value is in the effort spent on it, and that's what we are doing at the moment. I guess we will speak on it later in this show.
Yeah, very interesting. Who is your main customer? What's your main customer basis?
At the moment, we changed our strategy a lot. So in the early years, we had like one or two big customers. The biggest one is, for example, or used to be Škoda Power, the Doosan company from Pilsen. We made simulations of large steam turbines for them. So compressible flow and very difficult things. And based on the projects from the old times, we were able to build up the software we are maintaining at the moment. It was the original core of the software we have now. Mm-hmm. So it used to be big companies, but at the moment it's many companies because we sell software and. Maybe I'm a little bit ahead in this interview, but about 80% of our income is the software and 20% is consultancy.
So 80-20 principle also applies in your business.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, very funny, but it's everywhere, also in our business.
Would you say that your business model changed over time?
It's exactly the point I just made, right? We started as a consultancy business. Yeah. On open source, because we thought that like us, everybody knows open source, everybody knows how to compile it, recompile it, and implement new functions and new solvers and new boundary conditions and new libraries and everything. But we realized that that's not the case, that people are likely to pay a little bit more for a ready-made software. Mm-hmm. And so it's been 10 years ago, right? It was 2009, right? So now it's 2020. So it's been 10 years. And also the interest of the market changed a lot. There are many trends, all these democratizations and optimization and automation of everything. And also there are many requests about the complexity of everything. The codes are getting integrated into the bigger units, and the CAE services are much more complex.
Mm-hmm. Can you walk us through the components that you offer? For instance, you have TCFD, T-opt, and so on, fluid structure interaction.
Okay. This is what are you pointing at is our new system we are going to deliver to the market. It's not in the market at the moment, so we wanted to make I would call it preheat of the market. So we announced already what's going on, what's going to happen. But I would say I would rather speak about our flagship product, which is TCFD. It used to be Turbo Machinery CFD. We later rebranded it to TCFD, which is a CFD code, which is based on open source. It's based on OpenFOAM, and it used to be a code specialized for turbo machinery simulations, but we have very successfully what had worked so well in turbo machinery works also very well in normal aerodynamics. So we have extended it to many other applications. So it's not turbo anymore. So that's why we changed the name, because it's definitely not a turbo machinery code anymore. It's for many other simulations and applications. And that's CFD. And this is the point. We later realized that we need to add, we need to integrate much more things to cover much more value for the engineers. So we have added a new verticals, new plugins, and we are going to rename the project again. It will be TCAE from the next month, or maybe from June, because it's being developed, but it works already. We are finishing the latest tests at the moment. So it will be a set of plugins. So it will be a simulation environment. So it will not be just a CFD code anymore. It will be a simulation environment. There will be structural analysis, like finite elements. There will be CFD, and there will be other plugins specialized for example, CAD and pre-processing, for meshing, and maybe in the future for the optimization, or let's say to be able to run DOE, design of experiment, like many runs based on the user's let's say pre-assumptions. And and the new plugins will be added for sure. So it will be a system, right? Because we believe that only nowadays only a system can make it and can survive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Interesting. What I know from your from the CFD support team is that you use the graphical user interface of ParaView. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. We believe that ParaView is fantastic project for US company Kitware. It's really great project. We know it's perfect for post processing. So the original idea was, and we still believe it was fantastic idea to make it also partly preprocessor. For sure, it's a processor for running simulations, and it remains still fantastic post-processing. So it's one tool for everything. So 100% of all the things can be done in ParaView using our system and system of our plugins. And we believe that's the future. And according to the feedback of our users, it was a good choice. And for simulations, it will remain. So simulations, either the finite element analysis, FSI, and CFD will remain. 100% of workflow will remain in ParaView.
That's also an advantage, right? Because you have already the post processor built in, as you said. So after running the results, you can immediately use ParaView, the graphical user interface. Yeah,
exactly. Everything is there. So you will, well, let's say with all the projects, you can just open the ParaView one time, and you can do everything in single one environment, and that's it. So you do not need to use many little pieces of software from everywhere. So that's a big advantage, and it's already it's all the same point we are pointing at. It's ready-made for professional simulations in the industry.
Let's say I want to be a customer from you. How does the licensing or like the payment works? Is it like annual or?
Yeah. Again, we made some development in this. We thought we will be unique and original, but later we became very close to what's standard in the market. So we are selling for the automation tool. We are selling the licenses, either annual or perpetual licenses. Okay. So it's very close what you can see at other standard, let's say CFD or CAE code providers.
So obviously you're working very hard to make your project running and improving your project. What would you say is the limitation of TCFD or TCAE?
Its limitation is definitely it's always focused. It's always focused on particular applications, right? So that it's always per applications. We don't believe that any CFD or any CAE code can do everything, or that anybody can do anything or whatever. We believe it has to be focused. So we go application per application, right? So we always focus on one application. We harvest everything what we can do, all the know-how, everything, all the setup, the possibilities, what the market in that particular application is used to do, what the users are used to do, what the engineers are used to do. We harvest it completely, and then we say, okay, this plugin is confirmed that it's perfect. So like pumps and other stuff. So we go per application. So back to your question, the biggest limitation of TCFD or now TCAE is it's only it's best, I would say it's best for several applications. So it's definitely not a general purpose code. It's a focused code.
I see. Get it.
Yeah.
So what would you say, like focusing on TCAE, who are your biggest competitors in this field?
So in terms of, let's say, our biggest field, it's again 80% of our users is turbo machinery users still. So then it's certainly codes, CFX from ANSYS. Some people use, I guess, this now Siemens Star CCM Plus.
Yeah.
And of course Numeka, and there are others. So it's codes. Our competitors are codes.
Yes. So quite big ones.
Sure. But one day we will be the big one.
That's an ambitious goal. Very good goal. Right. What are the?
Yeah, we're very ambitious. Yeah.
Yeah, that's very good. What would you say? What are the biggest bottlenecks? Like when CFD support started and now?
Okay. Yeah. Well, many things changed. Like I told you, it's a journey, right? It's a journey of we were young. I think it's okay. If I should say one thing, it was the experience. Really, the business experience. We never. It's always so difficult, and it's not it's a process, right? It's not a final state. You to know what the clients want, but to know perfectly who's your client and what he wants, what you can deliver, and what's the value for him. Value is very important. So experience, what's the value for the user, and it's a little bit tricky. But sometimes you think you get it, but you don't, and later you think you get it, and you still don't, and it's still moving, right? So it's a process, and it's definitely. I would recommend to every other entrepreneur or those who begin with business to define as clear as possible who's the client and what's the value for him. And it's a little bit tricky because it's the client who decides or who makes the judgment, the final judgment, what's the value. It's never you. It's never your marketing team. It's never your people around you who encourage you, go do it. It's the client who decides what's the value. And that's very, very important. And I also think it's the value and the value cost ratio, because people say that the market is not cost sensitive, and people say it's not about the money, but I think it is a little bit about money, and it definitely starts being about the money. So it's about the budgets, and so the value cost, it's about the costs. The value cost ratio is very, very important, and I'm very, very careful and polite to have very, very high value cost ratio in our house and in our products.
Very interesting. Going back to the beginnings where you said in the first year of business, I think you made nothing, right? What made you keep going? Like you could have said, like, we give up, right?
Yeah. It was, of course, it was our passion for high-tech software. That's the first one. Then we had some little money from the Czech government for survival. It was like it was like let me make it was like 500 euros per month, and it was tough times because I had already my oldest son. He was born in almost the same day as our company was founded. And it was tough times. It was difficult, but it apparently worked, and we made it. And truly, it was our passion for high-tech software and our passion for success. And we never realized we are in the beginning, right? We thought we have something already, right? We always thought, okay, this is huge. We will make it, right? It's here, and we will. And we thought it's very funny. We thought that in 2 years we will be like millionaires at least. Right? At least millionaires in Czech crowns. It's much less, but anyway, it's we thought we have something, right? We thought we are already experienced personalities who know what the users want, what the clients want, right? But later, after some time, we realized, we are not there yet, and I think and I suspect us that we are not there yet at the moment. Right? So,
How many people work currently in your company?
We are 8 people at the moment.
8 people, so a small, compact but efficient team, right?
Right. It's one of my biggest points. I don't believe it's about quantity in CAE. I believe I'm absolutely sure it's about quality. It's all about quality. I will give you a quick example. Consider a normal worker. Let's say in the factory at the assembly line. Let's say the best worker of all. The best worker of all is maybe 50% faster than the rest of them, right? Than the average, let's say. So the best worker at the assembly line is, let's say, 50% faster and better than the others, than the average, right? But how about CAE engineering, right? What about the engineers? It's the best engineer is 5,000% better than the average engineer. And look at programming and software development and software engineering. It's the best worker is 5,000% better than the average. So it's definitely. I'm sure of it because we know it. It's definitely about the quality. So even very, very small group, efficient group can make miracles compared to a large group with normal people who just, okay, let's try this, and they just Google things and are nowhere. So we definitely believe in a smart small group which is much more efficient than the bigger one. I don't say I don't want to be big. I want to be big, of course, and from certain numbers it counts. The average counts, of course, but I want to say that a smaller group can be very, very effective, and that's what I would recommend to everyone to think about the efficiency in the office and at the workplace.
Mm-hmm. How big is the pressure on you and Jiří Šimonek? What would you say? Is it bigger? Did it grow bigger like over time, or was it the biggest in the beginning when you had no business? What would you say?
Okay, good one. So first of all, I have to say, because you mentioned Jiří Šimonek, he left us in 2018 for another business. So he's not here anymore. So we made fantastic deal, and he founded another company on finances. So he left engineering for good. So I am let's say the one who has this work here.
You're the head now. You're the boss. Yeah.
Yes. Let's say in the first year of our business was quite a lot of. I would say it's equal all the time. The pressure is everywhere. It's definitely multitasking. Sometimes I have 15 items on my to-do list every day, I would say. So it's so many, sometimes little, sometimes bigger issues I have to deal with every day, even weekends and everything. So that's okay. But I would say the pressure was equal all the time, right? Because, for example, in the first year, we wanted to have the first one, the only great contract we wanted to have, and then it's okay. Then we made it, and then we can leave and go to work somewhere to get employed. But so it was. So in the first year we want to have just one contract, right? After 5 years we wanted to make some stable profit to run the company, and now it's even bigger, and it's still the pressure is here, and new challenges and opportunities. So the bigger is equal, I would say. Yeah.
Where do you see CFD Support in 5 years, maybe 10 years? Let's say 5 years.
Well, a good question. Yeah, I think it's a little bit tricky and funny as well, right? It's very difficult to predict the future, but I'd like to have, let's say, in 5 years, I want to have, let's say, 10 times more clients on our engineering simulation environment. I'm now speaking about what I want, right? Let's see what will be the future, so definitely it would be this. I think we have found our sound, so it would be we would be the developer of CF or CAE simulation environment. And I want to cover as many fields as possible, and I want to have happy customers as many as possible.
That's a good goal to have. Is there any, let's say someone is interested in CFD support, is there a trial, for instance?
Yeah, sure. Trial version is available for everyone. So anybody can download our products and test it. And of course, as long as the customer is not satisfied, he doesn't pay anything. And in the time when the customer is the future customer, the potential customer is convinced that it's what he's looking for, then he can purchase the software. So we are very transparent in this. So anyone can give it a try and decide himself whether he likes it or not, or whether to go ahead or not.
Interesting. The question now that just came into my head is, your graphical user interface, of course, is on your machine, right? How many is it running on? It's not running on the cloud, so it's running locally on your machine, right?
Well, it can be run on the cloud.
Okay.
It depends on how it's installed. We made also some experience with Uber Cloud, for example. So it's ready. It's definitely ready for being run on the cloud. But to answer your question, yes, it's primarily developed for desktop application. That's correct.
So what would be the limit? Like, let's say you have a normal laptop. How many million elements would you say? Where's the limit?
Yeah. Okay. So sure, it's like normal CFD software, right? It's like a very other code. So you should count at least I would say 2 GB for the RAM memory for 1 million cell mesh. Right, so it's a rough estimation. Of course, it depends if you how many equations your solver has and this and that. But anyway, it's 1 million cells takes up to. It's the safe number is 2 GB.
I see. Okay.
For RAM memory. So that's normal, and that's how you should set up your simulation cluster, your desktop or your laptop.
I see. Is there anything else you want the audience to know about CFD support or your business?
We are pretty transparent. So I would say pretty much information is already on our website.
Yeah.
So I would not say anything special. Just take a look on our website. Feel free to contact us. Feel free to contact me anytime, either on LinkedIn or Facebook or via email info.cfdsupport.com or lubos.pirkl@cfdsupport.com. Feel free to get in touch. Let's see what we can do. Maybe if I should say one thing, we have very, very strong feeling for those who have no budget or low budgets. So feel free to get in touch. There's always a solution, so don't worry. Get in touch. Let's take a look what we can do together, and I'm sure we will find a solution for everyone.
Okay, that's great last words from Lubos in this sense. So I will put every link to Lubos and his LinkedIn profile, for instance, down in the description if you want to have a look at that. Make sure to contact Lubos if you have any questions. And with that being said, I would say thanks a lot for your time, Lubos, and we'll hear from each other.
Thank you, Jousef, for your time and for having me in the show. Yeah.
Sure, no problem. See you.
See you. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.